Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. Welcome to 2024. This is the first video over here in the new year, and it seems surreal to be back. We just got back late last night from Mexico, and I just filmed a video for my drama channel, and then I turned around and I filmed a video for my Peter Does Stuff channel, which is actually something that I might film for this channel. It's about the meaning of life, and it's about simplicity and slowing things down. So if you want to hear about that, go over to my Peter Does Stuff channel and watch that video. But I was reading through comments on my last couple of videos on this channel, and I was like looking for something to talk about over here, and I was like, oh, this is an interesting topic to talk about over here. And then I was like, oh, this is an interesting topic. And then I got this one. It was a very, I actually should read it. It was a very, very small comment. Hold on a second. Somebody said on here, hold on a second. This was on my video that I did about guilt, shame, and embarrassment. And this person said, I have one or two people in my life that consistently let me know that I have changed, and I am grateful for that. Love you, Peter. Thank you so much. Okay, so I wanted to address that comment. I don't know why I wanted to address this comment, but first of all, I think it's fantastic that there are people that we have in our lives that acknowledge positive change, right? Like, I don't know, it just like means a lot to me when I have, it's not really, I think it's more the people that mean something to me in my life, you know, like my husband, you know, like he said on this trip, things like, I can tell like you like are a lot more conscious of this or a lot more conscious of that. Like I can tell you're working on it. Like you're really like serious about wanting to finish the basement. You're really about that. You know, it's like when you do those things, it's not like I do things in my life because I need pats on my back. I'm not really at that point in my life, but the acknowledgement still feels good, you know? It's like, I can remember a couple years ago, going to a meeting with my friend Tanya, and my friend Tanya said to me, she goes, there's such a calm and a peace about you anymore that you didn't used to have years ago, you know? And I really, in all honesty, I think so much of that came from marriage counseling, because, you know, at that time was when Alex and I were seeing our first marriage counselor, and I was going to individual counseling as well, and there had been years previous to that I hadn't. And there was so much that I was working on at that time that I think that what that did for me was it really made me realize what was important in life, you know, and that I was getting so caught up in just the stuff that really didn't matter in life. And I would get so, you know, upset or so frustrated or angry about things that didn't matter. And when I was in counseling and I was bringing those things, you know, to my therapist would just look at me and be like in the grand scheme of things, you know, 20 years down the road, you're not going to look at this the same way that you're looking at it now. And I knew those things. Like that was what was so hard, right? Was like, I knew these things. I knew that these things that I was giving importance to, whether they were positive things or negative things, these things that I was giving a lot of attention to, I knew that 10 or 20 years down the road, they wouldn't matter. I just knew that they didn't matter, right? You know, I remembered like on the day that my mom passed away, like nothing mattered. You know, when you've gone through really traumatic experiences in your life, I think that what you realize is in those moments, kind of like everything else, you know, whether it's like somebody saying something mean to you or the garage door being broken, because that happened, not recently, but it did in the past, you know, or just, I don't know, like the sink is dripping and you can't get it, you know, you got to call a plumber or whatever the issue is, you know, or you're, you know, arguing with somebody and it's just it's an easy phone call of just saying like, hey, I'm really sorry. I said some things that hurt your feelings. I'm not talking about deep. I'm talking about the simple stuff, right? In those moments that you go through those really tough times, what you realize is, and if you've gone through them, and I'm sure most of you have, what you realize in those moments is that none of that stuff really matters. It really doesn't. Like, it breaks it down to what is really important, you know? It breaks it down to what is really important. And so, for me, it means a lot when Tanya looks at me and says, you know, like, you are a lot calmer now than you were years before, because that was something that I really worked on, you know, that, you know, I know in videos on my drama channel and stuff, I seem like, hey, whatever, right? Like, I just do this video, I was like, ah, But like in my personal life, I'm very calm. I'm very peaceful. You know, like I say that a lot. Like peace and serenity are not luxuries in my life today. I have to have them, you know? So when I have, you know, my cousin Caroline say things to me like, you just don't seem to get as upset about these things anymore. Or Alex say to me, you know, just like, you know, you used to be like all over the place in your head, or I can really tell that you're really, you know, like working on this, or, you know, you've been cleaning a lot of stuff around the house. That means a lot to me. Or, you know, like just, you know, you're doing this, or you're doing that. It's really like, I can really notice, and it really makes me, you know, makes me happy that, you know, you're working on those things and it's better for us and whatever, you know. All the people, like my sponsor will say things to me like, you know, where you are today is not where you would have been 6 months ago or 3 years ago or 5 years ago, you know. And she'll say, like, you have worked really, really hard on this. That positive acknowledgement is important. I'm not in 3rd grade. I don't need a gold star, right? But I think the fact that somebody else notices it means the work that I have done hasn't gone unnoticed. And so, because I think in life, we are very, very quick to acknowledge when people are doing negative things, and I'm just as much to fault for this as anybody else, that we're very quick to acknowledge when people are doing, you know, negative things, or people are, you know, like not working on things, or they're like just working too much. And let's just use that as an example, right? Like I have friends of mine that just like, I'm like, you need to slow down. Like you're working so much, like, and you've got 4 kids, you're doing like how, like you got to take some time for, I can't take time for, you know, it's like, and I understand how tough life can be. I really get it. Right. But like you deserve to slow down and take that time, you know, like even if it's just 5 minutes of your day. So I think that when we do work on those things, to have other people acknowledge it, even though we don't need gold stars, we're grown adults, we don't need pats on our back, it means that other people are witness to our change, right? And that feels really good. It feels really nice, right? That being said, and this is what I really wanted to talk about in this video, is there are going to be a lot of people that are threatened by change in our lives. I can remember, you know, like, I've had friends of mine, you know, this last year for me was like learning how to stand up for myself a lot. I've had friends of mine that have, specifically women, that have learned to stand up for themselves. And what they will say is, as soon as I stand up for myself, people no longer see me as Judy Smith that just goes along with everything and whatever. Now I'm the bitch, right? And they'll say that specifically, that word. They'll say, people are like, why are you being so rude? Why are you being nasty about this? Whatever. It's like, if I stand up for myself and whatever, people don't like that. Like people want to compartmentalize me and put me in a box and put me up, you know, that they know exactly how I'm going to react or respond to something. They don't, there's like a hair hanging off my head. That hasn't happened in a long time. They don't want me, they want to know exactly how I'm going to respond to everything. But if I change and I grow as a human being, that's very scary to a lot of people. It's threatening to people, right? It's scary in your own marriage. I can remember like when I decided that I was going to go back to 12-step meetings, and I hadn't, you know, in several years, 4 years. And I came home that night and I said to Alex, I said, things are changing. Like I'm going back to meet. He was the first person. I mean, I got that meeting that night with Tanya, but when I came home, he was the first person that was important for me to talk about. And I was scared to tell him. And I can remember thinking to myself, you know, on the way home, like, this is either going to destroy our marriage or it's going to repair our marriage. But either way, like, I'm going to stay sober and I have got to fix myself. Like, I have got to fix myself and come out stronger on the other side. Whether our marriage is ruined over this or not, like, I have to be okay. And I can remember being so scared to have that conversation with him because I didn't know how he was going to react. You know, he had always been supportive of my sobriety, but he didn't really know what that looked like as far as, like, going to meetings and actively working steps and being of service and having a sponsor. I mean, I had a sponsor, but I wasn't really talking to him at that point. It was a different sponsor. You know, so he didn't really get what that was all about. Like, he got it to some degree, but not on that level, right? And he was 100% supportive of me, you know? And I can remember, like, we even came up with a plan of, like, I was going to, like, 14 meetings a week. And so, like, Friday nights, we would have, like, date nights, and Saturday nights, he would go out with his girlfriends, and I would go to, like, this candlelight meeting, and then I would go out to, like, Denny's or Steak and Shake or something afterwards, you know? And, like, on Sunday, we would be, like, I would go to this, like, this meeting in the morning, and then it was like 11 o'clock on a Sunday. It was like this donut meeting, and then we would spend the whole day together. And then I would go to, it was like a 6 or 7, I think it was it was a speaker meeting. So I think it was at 7 or 8 o'clock. And then I would come home and we would watch a movie. And so like we had like prepared exactly what our weeks would look like. And he was so supportive of that, you know? There were other people that weren't, and I've talked about that, you know, that I reached out to several of my friends, actually 3 girlfriends of mine, and I said, hey, listen, I'm not going to be going out to bars and clubs as much anymore, and I'm going back to meetings, and I am, like, this is what's important to me right now in my life. At that time, all 3 of them were very, very supportive. All 3 of them were like, hey, listen, because these were 3 women that their friendships were important to me, inside and outside of going out. Like, we had friendships, traveled together and things like that, not just like going out to a club, but like that was a lot of our life as well, right? And so I reached out to 3 of them. Well, 2 of them I haven't heard from them in years. And it's not because they're nasty people. It's because our lives went separate ways. And they didn't really know what to do. And in fact, through another friend, I heard that one of my friends said, they said something about like, Peter misses you, he doesn't ever see you anymore, he's reached out to you a couple times and, you know, like for lunch and whatever, and like this was years ago, and you haven't responded. And this person's response to them was, it's not my fault that Peter decided to stop going out to bars and didn't want to go out with us anymore. And I was like, that's your take on, I thought our friendship was deeper than this. I mean, I was in my 40s at the time, right? Like, it wasn't like, you know what I mean? And so, I've shared this on here before, my friend Melissa was one of the 3 people. And when I called Melissa, and Melissa wasn't like a big goer out or anything, she definitely isn't now. And she said to me, she goes, this will not break our friendship, this will only make it stronger. And it's only gotten 100 times stronger since then, you know? I'm just talking, like, Tanya and I were like, that friendship was already, you know, solid. But these are friends of mine that I have from, like, specifically Alex and I were going out with them and their husbands to clubs and out to dinner and things like that. And that was not something I wanted to do anymore. That was not the focus of my life. There were a lot of people that didn't really know what to do with me at that point, how to fit that into my life, even though it wasn't really changing anymore, you know? I think that there are people in our lives that are going to be uncomfortable with us changing. They're not going to like that. But don't ever let that derail you from making positive changes in your life. You know, you only have one life. Live it to the best of your abilities. Live it how you want to live it. Live it on the terms that make you happy. By being kinder and gentler to other people. By doing what feels right in your heart, you know? I've met people in my life that have lived their whole lives answering and people-pleasing to other people, and they don't live very happy lives. There's a difference between being considerate to other people and their feelings and their emotions and being a people-pleaser. I don't want to be a people-pleaser. I've done that at points in my life. It doesn't bring me a lot of happiness, and ultimately it doesn't bring them much happiness either. You know? There are going to be people in your life that are going to be very, very happy about the positive changes in your life. There's going to be a lot of other people that don't know what to do with it, and that's okay. Because ultimately, it's your life. And we should forever be changing and growing and evolving to our next selves, you know? I hope that for me. I hope that for all of us. So here's to a great 2024. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.